Hi, everybody. My name is Tatyana, and I'm the CEO of Neiry. And I represent Neiry company. We do neurotechnologies for 3.5 years. And today we're going to speak about what is BCI is, what is the BCI market is, possibilities of the technology, and how can we actually apply this technology, and why do we need it. But before we start to talk about BCI market and use cases, let's talk about why are we actually here? A lot of smart people here. Why are we here? And I want to show you some graphics. And this is the graphic was first described by Kondratiev. It's a Russian economist. And this is the waves of innovation. What does this graphic describe to us? First of all, it describes that each new innovation represents as 3 stages. The first stage is embryonic stage. The second stage is the stage of growth. And the third stage is maturity stage. What does it mean? It means then when humanity found out that there is some electrical engine, the first electrical engine was lower and less efficient than steam engine. And when humanity realized that there is some internal combustion engine, the first internal combustion engine was less effective than the first electrical engine. So what does it mean? It means that neurotech right now is less efficient than maybe voice control or some other devices, but we are not only our company convinced that this is just a matter of time. And very soon, we're going to go into the phase of growth. The next slide I want to show you, maybe some of you saw it before, it's about how fast the diffusion of consumer technologies over 110 years. And as you can see on the graphic, technologies penetrate humanity very fast and faster each year. And it convinced us that neurotechnology can interrupt the community, can penetrate the community very fast. But we can imagine that there is a lot of skeptical people over here, and we are fine with it because all the new technologies go through the 3 stages. The first stage is, what nonsense is that? And the second stage is, there is something in here. And the third stage is, I told you so. And we know that neurotechnology now located from the first and the second stage, but we know that there is a matter of time. So what is the BCI is? This is for people who just maybe came just now. I will describe it very, very fast. BCI is the devices which can detect electronic signals from the brain and transfer it into commands. There is few types of BCI that you need to know. I will not go deeply into the science because I'm not a science person at all. So there is 2 types. First, it's invasive and non-invasive brain-computer interface. Invasive is not made, but for example, Elon Musk, he's doing invasive neurotechnologies. We are doing non-invasive neurotechnologies. And the second is wet and dry. The wet neurotechnologies used mostly in medical applications, and we are using dry electrodes. And now you can see that there is medical and non-medical devices. And few things about the history of brain-computer interface. It's actually really interesting. If you're interested into the BCI, you need to know that. In 1924, humanity can read the first electrical signal, first EEG from the human, but brain-computer interface started to develop only in 1970 when DRP, the American government company, granted the R&D into the BCI. And from that time, a lot of BCI, a lot of research has become, et cetera, et cetera. But we are talking now about the present. If we are talking about the present, we need to know that in time 2017 till 2019, most of the companies in the world who work in neurotechnologies, they show to people technologies that can work with humanity, with people without training and calibration because of neural networks. But the problem is that technology is not a product. And even though we and our competitors, we don't think that our competitors, but it's our partners, because the market is very small now. But we realize that nobody needs technology, everybody needs a product. And from that time, from 2019, other companies and we started to develop a product, started to find the product market fit. Our company developed the same way. In 2018, we showed to the world our first algorithms, our first technology which can work with all of the people without training and without calibration. In 2019, we started to work with the hardware. Actually, we didn't want to work with the hardware, but we found out that there is no hardware we can work with. We tried out all the hardware in the world and we realized that there's two types of hardware. Either cheap and doesn't work, either works, but very, very expensive, $10,000 plus, and it's not a consumer-friendly device, as you can imagine. That's why we started to develop our own hardware. From 2020, a lot of you guys who knows our company knows that we started to develop a product, not a technology, but a product, and it was about education. We did a lot of pilots, we did sales, international sales in the US, in Singapore, India, Kazakhstan, and a lot of other countries. But from 2021, we decided that we want to work not only with education. We decided that we want to work in different industries, and I'm going to tell you about that. In general, I will not go deeply into the science, but in general, you need to know that BCI now can either controlling, either monitoring. By controlling, I mean that we can, for example, press the button into the screen. We can press the button into the cell phone. By monitoring, I mean that we can monitor the fatigue, we can monitor the stress level, relaxation, and a lot of different cognitive metrics. I will open a little bit the door in our R&D, what we are doing now, and in our research, in our R&D is the emotion recognition. We work very hard on that, and a lot of companies want to have it in their current product. They want to implement it in their current product. The second one is the speech recognition. I guess that's one of the most significant things which we can do when you don't need to speak anymore. You can just think, you can just speak inside, it's an inner voice, and BCI can detect it. And I really think that it's amazing. And the third thing, it's motor imagery. When we can imagine something and brain-computer interface can detect it, they know what we imagine, what kind of moving we imagine. Now we're going to talk about devices, what we have, about the form factors. In general, all of our form factors can do everything what I said, monitoring and controlling. The first device is what I want to present to you. It's Impulse. It's mostly for enterprise. About use cases, I'm going to tell a little bit later. The second is Neiry Band. And the third is Neiry headphones. And Neiry headphones is one of my favorites. It's a big headphones which you can use for entertainment. And you can do actually a lot of things over there. And I will tell you a little bit later about that. And to be honest, like my favorite one, it's Neiry Buds. Imagine your new AirPods Pro. You take off the rubber the rubber from Apple and you put on the rubber from Neiry, and your AirPod becomes the brain-computer interface. Isn't it amazing? So we have four form factors that can be used in different applications. We are working in the different industry directions, and the first is entertainment, the second is education, the third is medical, and the fourth is enterprise. So let's kind of talk about the use cases. I'm talking a lot about BCI, but how can we actually use it? I give you an example with a very simple case. Imagine in Russia, it's Alisa, in different words, it's Alexa. Imagine how you talk with your Alisa or Alexa. It's fun, right? But you need to talk in front of a lot of people sometimes, if you are not alone. It's not really cool. Imagine that you can talk with it. Just imagine your voice. It's about speech recognition. You think about it. For example, you don't pronounce it, but you say inside of your, like, hey, Alexa, turn on the music, but you not pronounce it, and it works. The same with Spotify or Apple Music. You can switch the song, not clicking your phone or something else. You just think about it, and it works. Isn't it amazing? But we are here about business, and let's talk about very practical cases. The first case, what I want to talk about, is entertainment. And the first use cases, it's adapting the games according to your physiological state. If you are bored, the game becomes more complicated. If you are very, very angry and you cannot handle with the stage of the game becomes easier, etc., etc. The second use case, it's additional mechanism in the game. Imagine that you are still playing your favorite game, but for example, you can custom the magic with the power of thoughts. And the third use case is cybersport training. We can train cognitive abilities of cybersports gamers. The second use case is enterprise. In enterprise, we have a lot of different use cases, but I'm going to talk about only 4 of them. We can discuss it later if you like, the other use cases. The first, it's integration with the current technologies. For example, with the Sony, for LG, and different companies with whom we negotiate with. As I give you an example, the AirPods from Apple, we can integrate with the current technologies. The second use case is smart equipment. We can manage the smart equipment. I think it's clear. I will not stop on this. The third use case is monitoring the fatigue and alcohol drunkenness. It's possible also with EEG and with a brain-computer interface. The fourth use case is monitoring physiological state, for example, in the companies when physiological state of the exact people when a lot of people depend on physiological state on one person, and we need to monitor it in real time. The third direction industry, it's education. It's increasing the engagement and training the cognitive abilities. And the last but not least, it's medical. And first use case, it's post-stroke rehabilitation. And the second one is mental health. Also, we work in different industries. And there's this HR monitoring, and it's a very interesting case because there are a lot of ethical issues. We're going to not talk about it today because it's not a topic of this discussion, but it's very interesting. Imagine that you as HR or CEO or top manager, you can see how your employees are engaged, who is bored, who is very focused, etc., etc. The second is movies. Maybe some of you remember then in the TV show Black Mirror, it was a case when you can choose in which direction this episode will go. Imagine that you are not choosing. You are just feeling something, and according to your physiological state, moving is continue. I think it's amazing. And the third thing is a sex tech, but we will not talk about this today. So, what are we waiting for in the future? To be honest, I'm pretty sure that in perspective on 7 years max, we will not have any touchpads, any keyboards, anything which we can touch or do something with it, except of brain-computer interface. We can communicate with the whole digital world using only brain-computer interface. But going to very practical case, how do we implement usually the BCI? First, it's a pilot for sure. Together with the customer, together with the partner, we're planning the pilot. We're planning what is the success pilot? How long is it? Why do we do that? Because we don't want to do something useless for sure. And then when the pilot is successful, we're scaling for sure. You know, in each direction, industry direction which we describe, we are never going alone. In our company, there is a value that we are not compete. We do a partnership. And in every industry that we are going to, we are going with the industrial partner. And if you want to be the first, if you feel that you are risky, but you really want to be the first, we are ready to be your provider in the world of BCI. Thank you very much for being here, and I will be very, very happy to discuss with you guys everything what you have to discuss implementation brain-computer interface into your company, into your products, into your process. Thank you.